Christian, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, you made it.
Yes,
I'm just
I did.
I was just having fun, man. I was just like I had this little
Yeah, I was kind of like plugging stuff in and hooked up. I was like, oh, where's this music coming
where's
from?
this music coming from? So,
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my coffee so it's nearby
yeah, you
because
grab that.
I live on that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
time is it out there? It's like what, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
It's 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
still
It's
drinking coffee
luckily. Oh, dude, I crush coffee all day, all long, all the
all
time.
day, all long.
All I mean, all I mean, I have this going, and I'll probably like fill up another one of these still going. Yeah, it's like student life, bro.
It doesn't put you to sleep.
Oh, I can like the other day I was like drinking a coffee as I was in bed, and then
Yeah.
it just yeah.
How do you do
I
that?
think it's just like I think it's a tolerance thing. I mean, my family has forced coffee on me since I was 6,
Yeah.
so like yeah, it doesn't like. And ironically, this stuff my my parents just brought it up from the Congo, so it's like the home
This is
the
the
home taste.
homegrown.
So I'm just exactly. You can taste the dirt and like yeah, yeah, that's the good stuff. Yeah.
So with what would they call it? Congolese caffeine, Congolese or what is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, just straight from our plantation actually. Like our family has a plantation that they like my auntie makes and sells this coffee, and yeah, so she sent me up a batch cuz like I've been trying to actually like get some here and like trying to sell it, but it's that's just like a whole that's a project of its own,
I
man.
mean, yeah, customs and getting it passed by all those regulations. I can
Yeah.
only imagine
Well,
the border
just
regulations.
absolutely just getting it here that is I want to have the opportunity to have those like customs issues. I want to be able to get there, but no, it's just like actually just getting it physically here, like shipping. The only time we ever reliably can get something from there to here or back is if somebody is physically traveling there. You know, other than that, things get stolen. They
Just put it
like,
in your suitcase. That's the only way you can
yeah,
do it.
it's the only way. And even then, the last time I did, like all my check-in luggage got raided anyway. So just go down there with stuff you don't expect to come back, and yeah.
So for people who aren't listening, I'm gonna put this up on our community pages and stuff like that. Um, you were born in the Congo,
Hmm.
and what year did you move to Canada?
1996.
So
Are
how
we
old were you?
live?
Yeah, no, we're not live.
Okay, okay.
But we're putting it up there. We'll post it a little bit later.
Hi, mom. I
So
was
we're 10? No,
yeah
1990.
10.
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
10.
I was
Yeah.
10. Yeah, yeah 96. That's retro music age now.
Yeah, right. We're getting old. We're getting old,
Backstreet Boys
Christian.
is retro music.
And then the real old people are saying you guys aren't old at all. What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
exactly. Yeah,
So
96.
1996. So is coffee? So you said your family would push coffee onto you when you were the age of 6. Is that just part of the culture? I actually don't know. Like, is that just something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a strictly part of the culture thing or anything. It's just like, here, have some of this. It's good for you, type of thing, right? Just like that uncle who would always feed you a little bit of booze, like, mommy's like, here, take a sip. Like, yeah, get to know that, you'll be enjoying that type of thing. So like, and I think even at that age, like, I do remember asking for coffee, and they're just like, okay,
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
yeah,
See, I can't even imagine giving my kids caffeine. I guess I am. We do with when we give them Coke, Coca-Cola, and those types of products. But like
yeah.
straight up coffee. Like I gave them like one candy today, and they were like losing their minds. They were just
Oh,
like
you know.
animals. But maybe it's because they're my kids and they're not. They weren't from the Congo and they didn't have
No, I
that.
well, I think the one difference that I can like pull from this is that I think you're like the kids here are a lot closer in proximity So
Right.
whereas like there, you can like, and then we were always outside. Like we were always out there, so they could be here, drink this coffee now, go, and then
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
and just like throws this like winding toy out there, and we just like, yeah, like
Ah.
tire ourselves out, and then we're done, right? But we'd be like gone, type of thing. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Cool, man.
Um, but I can see why coffee for kids is not the best thing.
Yeah. There you
I'm
go.
told. Yeah.
You heard it here first, guys. um, Christian, do you remember when we first met? What's your
I,
first memory of me and you?
my first memory of me and you was like it I think it was definitely during the like it was like either two things, which I don't remember exactly the day. I know the circa, but it was either Je Francescois or Francoton. Um, one of the two. Um, but I do remember the like the Lepage. Like, oh, those are like the cool side of the Cyr family, because you didn't see you guys very often. You're like, oh yeah, like they're just out there doing their thing. Yeah, that's so cool.
Those farm
Yeah,
boys from Saskatchewan. So,
exactly.
so for the people who don't know what this Jeu Francescois or Francoton was, so both Christian and I grew up in Saskatchewan in a francophone community. Christian was in Prince Albert. I was from Saint Denis, or I went to this francophone school. But I actually had some cousins that also lived in Prince Albert, and so we kind of had a little bit more of an intimate connection with my cousins, and then my cousins were good friends with Christian. Now, my first memory of you was actually before that. I think we were probably. Uh, do you
Very
know,
young
like,
for sure.
when did you first start playing the drum kit? How old were you?
Probably 12.
Okay, so we must
12.
have been 12,
Yeah,
because I remember I was visiting Joël and the whole Cyr family,
yeah.
and Martin had a drum kit, but he never really picked it up, and then
Is it Martin who started the drums
well,
first?
I think it was his. This is how I remember the story. I don't know if it's true, but this was
Uh huh.
Martin's kit, and he never really picked it up. But Joël flippin' loved it, and I just remember this like CB kit. I don't know if it was a CB kit or a Pearl kit. I don't know, but
I
wasn't the
think.
best kit.
Oh,
Oh, you can you hear me?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was
Making
I
some rhythms.
accidentally hit something. Yeah. I didn't know. I think it was a Pearl Man actually.
Yeah, it was like a black kit or something like
Yeah.
that in the bedroom. Anyway, so and I remember being like, man, this thing is the coolest thing. And then one time you came over, and I think everyone was playing like 007, like GoldenEye,
Golden Eye.
right?
Yeah.
And I was just like so stuck to this drum kit. And you came over and visited one time, and you sat behind the kit. And the only thing I had in terms of an exposure was just like that was the first time I kind of heard a drum kit real life. There was a time before that, but this was the first time where I really had a chance to sit behind a kit. And you sat behind the kit, and here's this guy I've never met before, and you had your glasses, and you sit back, and then this is the beat. You're like, remember that beat? And it was like, what? Whoa! So good, you know?
I still try and incorporate that beat wherever I can.
Right? It's such a stellar beat. And so we were must have been 12 or something like that. And now I was like, man, this guy's a great drummer. And then fast forward a few years, so Francoton and Je Francescois, those were kind of places where the francophone communities would come together
And
and
Impact too.
what's
But
that?
I guess Impact wasn't like actually with the community. It was more along the musicians. I was interjecting wrongfully.
No, but I mean, Impact. That was like, yeah, workshop, music related workshops. But certainly, we kind of took off, and we started at the same time. You started before me in terms of the drumming, but very shortly after I was kind of right in there.
And I think by force too, actually, really, like I remember because before that I was taking piano
Yeah.
and guitar, and I didn't like each one of them. And I like do you remember Eva King?
Eva King?
Eve is that Eve King?
Eve. Eve. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was like the day he's the one that actually decided which instruments we're going to be playing for. It was Les Franco Rockeurs because like I was
Right.
still like taking lessons off and on, and actually at Valois where they would have Mike Langlois come in, and he was like, he would, what do the kids want to learn? Guitar? Okay. How about piano? Okay. And he was like teaching everybody everything, essentially. But yeah, like Eve put us like kind of like brought us into the room, and he's like, you're playing drums, gent, you're playing bass, like you're playing so and so, and like
And it stuck.
just stuck. Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. So Gent Laird,
stuck.
amazing bass player, went on to do some tour ships with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
n-
Well, I mean,
uh,
not together. Actually,
yeah,
we did it like a decade apart, and
you
for like
guys kind of
yeah,
crossed over. Interesting.
yeah, yeah. It was very interesting talking to him. We had we also had very different experiences. We were musicians, but our role as musicians were very different. I mean, yeah, like the companies are kind of all one umbrella company, but each one of them just runs a different kind of tight ship, essentially. Yeah.
So for the people listening, and that's a pun intended,
Mm-hmm,
runs a
mm-hmm.
different tight ship. Um, tell us a little bit about your experience of late, because you've kind of retired from that cruise ship, playing professionally on the cruise ship, and maybe your role managing uh, musicians and making sure that all of that tight ship was
Was sailing smooth.
sailing smoothly. Let's keep it going with these puns.
Yeah, yeah. There until you get tired of them. Well, yeah. Like I mean, I had started off that gig as a show band musician, kind of like a pit musician, where we would be like a kind of orchestra band for the review shows, and we'd kind of like go around doing different kind of like different spots on the ship, different stages, and that kind of stuff. And so that was the beginning. And throughout my time there, the company kind of like um, there's an evolution in how they started like presenting and doing these shows, like even within the type of bands they're kind of breaking that up into like smaller modular pieces, as in like when I started, for example, it was like a 12-14 piece band, and then later on they kind of like turned it into like the rock band, or like the main band, which is part of it, which is the 6 piece rhythm section, guitar, whatever. Like the main band part of it can go do other things. The horn trio is the thing of their own. The string trio is the thing of their own, and that kind of stuff. And they we would kind of play different places, or just to cover as much ground as possible, and we'd come together and do things together, like the review shows. And then so later on, my role grew at I became a music manager, which aside from performing, I would still perform every night, but my role was to also um, manage the implementing of all these pieces around the ship. And it was kind of like a pretty extensive workload, because it was like per 6 to 8 month blocks, where 2 months of it, you meet in Miami and you like rehearse for 2 months. And like my role as a music manager is just literally to do everything possible to get from A to B, as far as like musical preparation to incorporating them with the dancers and like the light tech crew. So like I was um and this is like we're moving within a team of almost like 100 to 120 people. That includes techs, dancers, musicians, and every one of those has their managers, and I was the music manager aspect of it. So it took everything from guiding rehearsals to delegating which themes should be played on which are kind of the demographic we're after, also down to like taking them shopping to making sure they are presentable and like everybody looks cohesive. So like everything like a music dad would do, like, and in fact lots of people started calling me Papa because of, short of making them lunches, I don't, pretty much anything it took. So then once we're done the rehearsals, we get on the ship, and that continues that way where, now we're implementing what we've been rehearsing, and my role shifts from performer to also quality control manager, that kind of stuff. I do everything from schedule them, evaluate them, help um, inboard and outboard new and oncoming musicians. So yeah, it was a very broad job, where even like halfway through, like when we were all like, after I'd done it for a couple years as managers, even they were asking, like, how would you describe your job as manager if we were to put it in one line? I was like, honestly, I don't know. Just whatever you do to get us from here to there musically, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everything in between. So, um, always covers or any original music playing?
Mainly covers. It's like we have a quota. We have like what we're meant to do, and it really just depends on the music manager. Um, where you know me, I'm one of those guys where like, just do your job, and you can do your thing. I'm cool with it. It was like, if you can pop in all original music and people love it, then yes, go for it. Because at the end of the day, that's what it was about.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
um,
there you're there to entertain people.
exactly,
Straight up
exactly.
entertaining people. Now, how many shows? Was it just one show per night or was it multiple shows in a day?
Oh, sometimes multiple shows in a day, man.
Wow.
Like, so the review shows, it really depends on what like your sailing is. So for example, a ship that did a 7 night itineraries, and that out of that, you're performing six of the 7 nights, and maybe depending on like that ship, they may have like up to 5 review shows, and some of them may or may not need musicians. Like sometimes some of the shows where we had to get creative in how we reorganize stuff for certain nights is like, for example, there's this like rock show that only needs the guitar player and the piano player. It's like, okay, so we still need music over here. So guitar player, you go play over there, and when you're done, come and join the band. And there's like 2 of those a night. So there's a lot of juggling back and forth, and there's nights
Jeez.
where, for
People are
example,
booking it across the ship with their guitar or whatever, and it's jumping
exactly,
on stage right in
yeah,
time for the solo.
exactly, and got that down to a science essentially. In that
You
in that
know,
area.
what I hear though, Christian, is I hear that that's a flipping headache. I mean, because you were orchestrating that, there's multiple stages going on at the same time
Yeah,
every single day.
and I have a phone clipped on to me ringing as I'm performing. So that it's not, yeah, it's so not often. I mean, so often this is happening. So
Oh,
like so many times, like, so yeah, it's definitely the most plates I've had to like spin, um, at a time. But it was like, yeah, it was a huge learning experience because like we
so
made it happen.
yeah, absolutely. So you did that for 5 or how many years?
5 years, yeah.
5 years. Amazing. And you've retired.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if you can share this in Cole's notes. I don't know if you have. Did you sign like a non-disclosure of how things ended?
Of what, like in
I mean, in terms of the COVID.
oh, I mean, I can talk about that kind of stuff. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting. You told me this story before, and my mind was blown because the early days of COVID, we heard about these people like these cruise ships getting shut down and people like being quarantined on cruise ships,
Still,
and
yeah.
and you worked on a cruise ship at that time. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what was going on for you?
Well, I can for one say that I was fortunate, out of like dumb luck, I actually got quote unquote evacuated from the ship before all this happened. Like literal, but it was like it's something that still pains me to this day in the sense where, and it was due to having contact to a false positive who like out of like just procedure, and it was the beginning. This is like March 7th of
Yeah.
last year, and first I'm like they know like my work has come back, and I'm not positive, and because it's a multi-billion-dollar company, so they're always thinking of their image, right? So it's like, okay, we have to make sure like we did the steps, like Christian, you're locked in your room for like further notice or whatever. So I'm
Yeah.
like confined to my room. I'm not allowed to tell any of my guys because like
Right.
if news gets out, like the out like already it was all over the news, and
Right.
so I'm confined to my room, and I'm not allowed to tell any of my team, who like there's 30 of them who I need to have daily huddles with, and like give like before each stage. I do my like even between when I'm playing, I'm supposed to be going around doing everything from like DB monitoring, making sure that people are starting on time, and also play shows, which is why I'm there.
And then
And
poof,
so
you've disappeared. You're
I've
gone. Nobody knows.
disappeared. Yeah. So one of the shows, which the centerpiece is a drum set that I'm supposed to be playing at, I'm not there. Nobody's talking, and they're calling me. And the first thing I think about is like, I can't come. I have diarrhea, really, really bad diarrhea. I can't come right now, and because for all I knew, I kept being told that this was going to be, no, in a couple days you're fine.
Right.
Right. So couple days goes by.
This and diarrhea wouldn't look good. And is this drum kit where it's like long tubes, like see-through long tubes? That wouldn't look very good. People would be able to see through that. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
So that's a good excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So couple days goes by, and suddenly like, no, we have to get you off the ship like right now. Like gave me an hour notice where we're in Mexico, and like they had to like charter like a small boat just to come pick me and my girlfriend up at the time. And we're like, she was in the cast at the time also, so like we're not allowed to tell anybody, and we're kind of like getting slightly
dating the staff. Jeez.
Oh, I know.
Scandalous.
Well, I mean, actually they encourage that because so they can deter you from having encounters with the
guests. Oh, that's even better. Yeah, I mean,
much better. Less
risk aversion to, as long as you don't tell us, we encourage that.
Yes.
Please don't tell us about it.
Uh,
The life on a cruise ship. Seriously, this is something that people don't know about, right? Until you've lived in it.
Yeah. There's like, it's funny because there's people really want to know. Like there's constantly, I don't know how many times, like, cause like I've done like home ports out of like Miami and LA, and like a couple of those places that are very, entertainment heavy places. And the amount of people who have come up to me is like, how would I be able to like get a show going on? I want to see what happens back there. I want to see that, like, what's behind that crew only door. It's like, there's a lot of fun stuff happens back there. a lot of anyway. So, but no, those are the areas where the sort of NDAs and they don't, rightly so, they don't want that little curtain pulled.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, we're getting whisked away to go get off the ship, and like, no, don't worry, we just have to send you home, and in 2 weeks you're gonna come back, and everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be back to normal, type of deal. And like, my girlfriend at the time was like crying, and like, because it was like kind of like a dramatic thing. Because also for her, she got like a knock on the door. It's like, you have to leave now. Like, pack your, like, we have to like get you guys out of here. There was this very like moment of panic, so to speak. And as I'm like, we're trying to get off the ship, and I'm like running into my row of musicians who are all going to like perform.
Where are you going? Where are you going,
exactly.
Christian? Like,
it was like,
you're gonna be at the show? Like,
yeah. I have all my suitcases. Like, yeah. Just nothing to worry about.
Nothing.
Yeah, and like there's a couple of them, some of my good friends who are in the crowd, and we're doing all this like non-verbal communication with the eyes, like everything is fine. Everything will be fine, type of thing.
That's
And
awesome.
so we get sent home, and like, and even getting home was an ordeal because I wasn't even able to pack all my stuff because I didn't have, time. And even my truck was left in LA. Like I just have like in my entire life in that boat because that was kind of how I was used to traveling along in the past few years, like very small, and I can just, so uh, I got home on March 12th. And as I'm walking through the airport in Saskatoon, on all those TVs, cruise ships barred, COVID, like the the poop had hit the fan, and suddenly it just was a completely different world that was over. And what made me regret it the most is that like my entire team got stuck on the ship, and that
Wow.
required a kind of like, those are the moments where I'm supposed to be there for them,
Exactly.
right? And I wasn't, and it was left. I was actually training somebody to be a music manager who was like kind of like working under me and like bringing up to finally get a promotion, and that was his like trial under fire. We had like 2 sessions. Like, well, looks like you had enough to just take over right there. It's like, well,
And you've earned
no,
it. I'm out of
yeah,
here. Got my bags.
yeah,
You
diarrhea.
you
Bye.
you got this, right?
Everything will be fine. You just stay right there.
Wow, Christian. So that's a pretty incredible, and I know that you've left some details out of the bag, but I really appreciate you sharing that because I think everyone's lives turned inside out, upside down, right side up, whatever it is. But when you're in this kind of silo, right, with and the cruise ship is almost like a silo. It's like this community. It's a very small, tightly knit community of musicians who depend on you, and it just kind of got turned upside down right away. Are you still in touch with your team? Did you ever get a
Oh yeah.
chance to kind of debrief with them a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we are very much in touch. We have our. It's funny. We still have our because I would still kind of use Facebook group messages as a kind of like 'cause like
Just to
I'd
touch
be that.
base.
Yeah, I'd be that guy who like if you didn't get a memo, I did everything I did because I posted in the Facebook group. I put a note under your door. I put a sticky note at your locker, and just like we still have that going, and so we still keep touch and we still collaborate actually quite a bit. Um, like I currently have a couple things on the go with some of the musicians, and they're like some of the best musicians I've ever worked with, and like to the point like there's three of them, two of them that were just in this last contract that we did like 4 back-to-back contracts together. So that was the great part of the job is I was able to build this family of lifelong friends who like we all always want to work together. So the benefit of having my position now is that I can be like I want to go on this ship and I want to go with these guys, and they're like okay. And
Nice.
to be able to do that was a great blessing for sure. And again, like I said, just lifelong friends that made there.
I love it, man. So I think everybody who's listening right now is salivating. You're set up to play a little ditty? Hey, do you want to share a little bit of a musical piece with us? Are you able to do that for
Okay.
us tonight?
I mean, I can. I would have to like do a quick see if you're able to hear what I'm. Is there? I guess we have to like do something non-copyright, right?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I'm not getting any kind of paid on stuff
No,
on
it's not
any of
about
it.
getting paid. You just get muted.
Oh, they just
If,
take it down.
well, yeah, or just like yeah, just completely mute up until the song is over. But yeah, I can
Wow.
I can I can I can throw something up here. Um, give
Isn't
do you have
everything copyright these days? How sad is that? I mean,
man? Yeah, like
wow.
people are even trying to sue each other over chord progressions. Like, get real, man. You didn't invent that progression.
And well, in doesn't that go beyond like? Doesn't it miss the point of music, which is sharing and inspiring and allowing people to express themselves? And if somebody wants to express themselves and use my piece of music for that, I would say that that's great
Yeah, yeah. I wish that everybody shared that. Um,
mentality.
yeah, that mentality because I think that like with everything that was that become and this may be like a little bit of a dismal view on it, but like with most things that were once or are a voice for people subjugated or just like the minority or whoever, those things that those vessels that they use to propel their messages often become commoditized once the message is finally being heard. You see that with hip hop. Hip hop was like a form of expression, an underground sort of like vibe. Hip hop is still hip hop, but there's a large part of hip hop that's capitalism, and I think that's where there's this intersex right now. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of like ways to digitize and monetize it, and yeah, it's just business, man, is taking over. Oh right, so drums,
I,
drum music.
I I actually I like the direction you're going with this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts more about it. Do you have any ideas on how to maybe reverse that, or what would make things better instead of the direction that we're heading, or is the direction that we're heading inevitable?
I think I think it's inevitable, the direction. However, the it has to change from the creation process, um, from the artists themselves and the reason they're doing it, right? Because I there's no way to undo like a copyright of songs that's out there right now. I think it's just like, yeah, I don't know, because like it's one of those things. It's one of those things. If you think about it, like artists are never really that great at business, right? So most of these people who are monetizing and copywriting this are on organizations on behalf of the artist, maybe even the artists themselves, right? But for the most part, it's like labels like Sony, Atlantic, like people who own the music. So
Yeah, I guess it's almost like reclaiming the art. You know what I mean? I think people are trying to, like for example, today I was just thinking about this. I'm like, man, I should be paying my guests to be part of this thing. I'm asking them to share their craft. I should be able to pay, but we haven't talked about that. We haven't signed anything.
no, no,
You know,
this
but
is me hanging out with my buddy.
exactly, right? But at the same
Hmm.
time though, people, if that's how you live your life and you're a musician, right? You've got bills to pay just like everyone else.
Yep.
Especially after this whole COVID thing. Like musicians have been and artists have been hit the hardest
Yep.
because there's no live shows, there's no gigs anywhere.
Anywhere.
And so I get it. I get why there's a big fuss in terms of trying to find a way to monetize the art that people are coming up with and things like that. And so it sounds like the
Yeah.
pendulum has swung a little too far. Maybe it's still moving in that direction. I don't think we've seen the end of how far these copyright infringement rights and things like that are going to go. I think it's
No.
going to get worse, to be
No,
honest.
exactly. And because I mean the technology to do so is also like propelling that. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Um.
Anyone can take a little snippet from this conversation and create it into a song and or from another song and totally shape it into a different way, right?
Exactly. And I mean, I I've always been at the like just the same thought as you. Like I feel that if somebody, yeah, if you want to take one of my songs, go ahead. It's like you like it, right? Cool. It makes me feel good.
Exactly.
Um, but no, I don't think everyone feels that way.
Y-
Um,
you know, is it almost like, so you're studying right now? I don't know what your studies look like, but I'm also doing my master's, and for me, I don't know if there's a lot of referencing. Do you do a lot of papers in your work? Probably not. Eh? It's more like
the odd one.
yeah,
It's more very like math based and like
yeah,
calculation based
right.
and
Do you have to
like
like reference your work? Like, where did you get this equation from, or anything
yeah,
like that? Okay,
like or just like
yeah,
show the work and the yeah.
sure. So for me, let's say for example, I were to speak about a specific topic on social justice or racism or whatever it might be. I have to, if it's not my own idea or if I'm taking it from somewhere else, I have to reference it.
Mhm.
Is it the same thing in music where, for example, like if I were to take a sample or a piece of music and then just use it, is it okay to just reference it? Does that kind of give me that buy or
It
that
used
pass?
it used to be like on YouTube, and I remember the day this happened where as long as you in the description you put
Right,
I do not own the rights to this song, like
right.
this is a cover. That doesn't for certain songs that doesn't fly anymore, right? Like there's
That's
other
so
ones where
weird.
yeah, there's other ones where it just says that like oh like you can play this, there's a copyright claim to it, like the artist still lets you play it. You're just not allowed to monetize it, which fine. I'm not gonna get the views that
You're not
I
going to get 5 million views on this.
exactly.
You know,
And
don't
if I
sell
do,
yourself short. You're pretty good. You're pretty
well,
incredible. But it is really hard. It's really hard actually. And that actually upsets me a little bit about this whole how this YouTube algorithm. I sometimes I'm on YouTube and I'm just like, give me something new. I don't want to see the same old crap anymore. You know what I mean? And
yeah, but you're gonna
yeah.
keep getting that old crap because it's like, yeah, those like, and I've been actually kind of messing around with the old algorithm myself. I've been like, well, this that's completely sidetracking, and I can talk to you about that some other time. But
I
okay,
like
so
it, man. I'm all about it. Go for it.
what kind
Just
of stuff do you want to hear, as in music wise?
today,
I could just pick a complete. I have these playlists of like jamming stuff. I could just pick
just
random
pick
stuff.
random stuff and go. Let's hear it. I want to hear you play.
Okay, random. Can you hear that? Okay.
Yeah. You can turn it up a little bit, but I'll mute myself. If you can bring it up a little bit, that'd be good. great, man.
I gotta stop this now. All right, that was fun.
That was awesome, man. So this was just a random track. You just hit random and then you just jumped right in. Amazing. Do you have another one you want to throw on?
Um,
You're just getting warmed up. I can see that.
um,
So while you're picking another one, I just want you guys to just really appreciate how incredible that is. So he's just going up. There's this random playlist that tells you how fast it is, it's a specific genre, and he jumps in. And it sounded like for most people out there, like he knew all of the hits. I could see it on your face when you're like, "Oh, I should have been hitting those accents there." You know what I mean? But
coming back around. I'll hit that next.
yeah, I'll hit that next time.
Yeah,
But
I hear you.
but at the same time, though, how much of the universal language of music is, I mean, because this is a language you've spoken since you're 12 years old, right? Even before. How much does the language of music play into this, or is it theory and practice, and or is it like what is more important, being able to understand the universal language of music, or just being able to you know get technical skills? You might want to pick up the mic for this one.
Oh right. Oh, no wonder I can hearing it funky. The microphone was on. It was picking up a little more as opposed to.
Oh.
Um, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I've always been someone who's leaned towards like the understanding side of it because I mean I didn't like there I had zero theory until I went to school for music, and it was like a couple of months before I went to school. I was like, oh shoot, I better learn how to read music.
Okay, hang on a second. Pause the story for a second.
Yeah.
Zero theory whatsoever, and you went to school. Okay, where did you go to school, first off?
Oh, I went to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California.
Okay, so zero theory and goes to this freaking Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California. How number one, how did you get in?
Well, I sent in a really good application. I I spent months on that application. Um, it was through the support of the arts board where and I applied for was the independent artist award, which my plan was to just like stay home, practice for the next 4 months, and send in a really good audition take. So
Wow.
that was like I was like 4 months. I'm staying home. I'm practicing, and I did a lot of like technique stuff, and I did. And ironically, almost left like the theory stuff to the very last minute, and I had to like hire a drum teacher from town to come over and teach me drum notation. Which, by the way, obviously the easiest of the easiest of the notations and stuff of theory anyway, which we still had to learn like melodic notation and everything in
Right.
school. But so that's what I did.
Hang,
I got
hang on.
go
I'm
ahead.
gonna I'm gonna jump in because I want to tell you the story about me, because I went in and I tried the same thing. I went to not a prestigious school, but I tried to get into the music performance at the U of S. And I remember I got the audition, and the audition, the actual like musical audition was great. I
Yeah,
think I did pretty good. I was doing okay. But like you, I had zero theory, zero lessons, zero anything. It was just all just hanging out with a buddy and watching and just like being like, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh yeah, oh that's really cool," and just like trying it out and just shredding it,
yeah,
shredding it on the kit. Um, and
yeah,
so that was fine. But then it came down to the audition piece to get into the music, the performance music piece, and they slapped down this like, 15 page of musical theory, and I look at it and my heart broke, and I tried my best, and I, turned a few pages. And like you, I started with piano, but I only had like level 2 piano, like until I was like, screw this, I'm a drummer. Like, I don't need this. My teacher was the worst piano teacher. Actually, my first
Mine
two were
too.
great, but I had one that was just awful, and I just really turned me off on piano, and I walked away. So, um, to me, hearing you say this story about how you had zero theory, but you worked really hard, really hard
Yeah.
to get into this school. Like, that is a lot of work. So I just want people to really appreciate that, because you know I don't know, man. I want to commend you for that. Anyway, so keep
Thank you.
going.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and actually to
Absolutely.
like sidetrack from that, I actually reminded me of like my first time I actually acted to like put it in action. But
Right.
yeah, so I got this. The first time I had to put it in action was my very first gig on the ship, and like I had like Whiplash, the movie, gave me some like bad flashback
It's
because
like
I had
PTSD.
I had that music director, like that guy, like the not my tempo,
Oh.
who was like, he like in the pit, exactly. It like in the like the stage lowers and rises between the show during this one because and it was a very weird thing because like so, and I can talk about this now, couldn't anymore before, but so little secret about these particular shows that don't exist anymore, so I can talk about it. But so the band would be playing for the most part because like obviously when the stage is on crowd level and the dancers are coming in, like it's easy to see if their people are faking or whatever, so the stage goes down and you're meant to be keep playing, but the music director has a line next to him to the sound guys like, yeah, this guy's not playing so well tonight, so like sound guy will turn up the tracks, turn that guy down. So they had full control of like what tracks are. But if I'm like playing crappy that night, they can just turn me right off and turn the like house drums up. So it's only the like first and the last couple songs when the stage comes back up that you're actually hearing the band, right?
Wow.
So I get there and it's like four music stands with like pages and pages, and they're like, and this is pre iPad, all paper with like scribbles on it, and they look like they're so old, and I'm trying to like decipher this show that this music director never told us about but we'll
Oh
be
my
playing every
gosh.
night, and it's all like really like this show is the bane of my existence, and I'm glad that it burned in hell. It's called it's called 6 More Seconds, and it's a country show, and very fast, like very fast, like you're like chugging, you're like changing music as fast as you can, trying to like catch up or whatever. And so often I'd be so panicking that like I'd flip the sheet and one of the pages would fall in between the riser. Exactly. And the next part would come up like, I don't know where I am. And like, just to get it back, they have to like raise the stage and somebody has to crawl under it just to get the sheet music
Oh
back.
my
So
gosh.
anyways, a huge sidetrack. But yes, I worked for 4 months. Um, got last couple months, got a tutor to come in and help me teach music. Roy Sidia, great drummer I look up to, and so one of my biggest feats, well, with that school is obviously the price tag, and like I remember sending in my application, and like there was a massive relief at the same time because I was like, well, if I don't make it, I tried, and at the same time, like if I do make it, I was like, how am I supposed to pay for this? It was like it would just
Right.
dawned on me there, and it was like, oh crap. So, I took out took out a line of credit,
Yeah.
and I somehow was also like the the dean of the school of Musicians Institute, who I'm still very good friends to this day. I think he noticed my application and also like kind of gave notice to just me in general. So he put me in for an Evans drumhead scholarship. So I got an Evans drumhead scholarship. I
Wow.
also got some funding from the Arts Board again to send me there. So like again, this is like I would not have been able to like. do it without that support. And like, had I been accepted, I would be like, awesome. But and
And
I
I
couldn't
don't know
afford
how I'm
him.
gonna pay for this.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you know,
So
Kate, hang on a second. So we're taking a lot of sidetracks, but
no way, no problem.
I think I don't know. Maybe tell me what you think about this. But do you feel like sometimes you need to almost take action towards a vision or a mission, a personal mission, without having all of the steps planned out, or are you a person that believes strongly in like planning everything out and going with it? Like, and is there maybe value in pursuing the unknown and just allowing for, um, the universe or a higher
Yeah,
power or something that's beyond you to kind of to set the stage and lay the brick as you step onto it. The
yeah.
brick goes and you step on it, and you're going to take another step and the brick moves and you land on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for many ways you just described my my whole lifestyle essentially. Because I mean, I've never been good at planning stuff. Like ironically, especially I got better at it when I had to plan life for 20, 30 people on a daily basis. It's just like I had to. I mean, still to this day, scheduling and timing are things that, like, I struggle with. But um I guess it just kind of comes into just kind of an honesty to yourself and what I kind of really wanted to do in that moment, not to like live in the moment type of thing, but like the most I I I can't plan it out. I just know that like this would make me very happy if I were to be able to achieve this, or if I were to be able to share this with somebody, or you name it. So I've always lived with my heart on my sleeve on that end. So it's kind of like half and half, where I have a general plan and have my sights set on it and put everything that I can into it. And if it doesn't happen, then I have the like thought of like, I tried. So that's the universe telling me that it's not for right now. Or, like I never had a backup plan. Like if you were to ask me at that time, it's like, okay, well, you're putting all this effort and time into it, like, what are you gonna do if like it doesn't pan out? I would have been like, well, let me find out if it pans out first, and we'll talk about that then, type of thing, right? So, which it may not be the best quality, but I mean, I think it's one of those things that inspired me to get this tattoo in my hand. I don't know if you can't
Yeah, I
really
can see
see it.
that. Tell me about it.
It's a 3D heart, so I try and wear my heart on my sleeve all the time. So just
Oh,
a reminder to be honest. And when those kind of things that, like, I was like when I decided to go play drums, I literally thought, it's like, what if I were to do anything else 20 years from now still, that I wouldn't want to like go outside and hit myself over the head with a pile of bricks. It would be that. So I just like decided, it's like, no, this is it. So
and at that time, you were doing labor jobs. What kind of work were you doing as
yeah,
well?
like I was still doing like uh labor job and stuff, but like mainly, like, by then I was still kind of like touring quite a bit, with bands and doing a lot of work. um
So you were heavy. You were heavy into the music, and this was
oh
the
yeah,
next step. This was
yeah,
the next step.
exactly. I kind
Okay.
of like, and it took me, I would say, like, it was like almost a decade long progression of like no more labor jobs, right? So it was like more gig after gig, and like word of mouth. And I lived in Saskatoon long enough that I was like, playing in 7 different bands at one time, so I had gigs and sessions lined up that I didn't need to work anymore. So it was kind of on the cusp of that. And what and I got to this point, and unfortunately, well, very fortunately actually, where you, the very stereotypical rock and roll scene people, you go play a show and then you get drunk and you rinse repeat and keep doing it, and it's just like that Groundhog Day.
Right.
of that. And I was kind of like in a circle, and you know how Saskatoon can be. Sometimes it's very like it can be a party town in that
Yeah.
circle. So I just remember like playing a gig, and and just like and having that real question with those guys, like, okay, leg, that we played this show, is awesome, like, what now? Like, what do you guys want to do with this? Like, well, no, it'd be cool if we just like kept playing bars and just this. I'm like, that's not enough for me. Like, I I don't want that. So that, and I had to kind of leave Saskatoon a little while for that. And so, yeah, it was a very drawn out answer. I hope that.
It's incredible. I love this, and it's so back to your story. So you were talking about the process of looking at the difference between just learning how to play music and just to feel the music and to be into it versus the
Right.
theory and getting in
Boy,
there.
did we sidetrack.
We really did, but we're back. We're back.
Yeah, we're back, folks. Um, yeah, I mean, I've always felt it more, and there's huge importance in the theory side of it. But like, as far as like, well, even for that song, for example, like, I'm listening and feeling and using instinct. Like, people have always called me, I think, an instinctual player, where like that, I would be able to pick those things up a little bit more if it was like actually like people playing beside me, because you pick up the nuances of like someone strumming, something's coming, because their intensity changes, or they're kind of like, you can feel the like the pull and push of the tension.
Okay, okay. Another tangent. Are you ready?
Yep, 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 yep.
So I love that you brought that up. The fact that you're sitting beside another individual, another human. This is one of my favorite things about what I do with drumming is that it's a reflection of not just me, it's a reflection of the unity, the unified consciousness of like
Yes.
you're expressing it beyond words. You're it's that musical language, that universal language. Um can you think about, like, I guess what does that mean to you, like, and how is that important to you, and like thinking specifically in terms of like COVID, and probably I'm guessing that you've had a lack of that, or definitely a huge decrease of that. What is the value of playing with people versus the value of just playing to tracks?
Well, it's definitely it's definitely contrasted the difference, and things that you take for granted when you're having that musical union with other people. um I think,
Musical union. A
yes,
musical union. Fuck
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, title track, musical.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like, it, on the other hand, it has, for myself, and I can't speak to other people, for myself, it's kind of realigned why I'm kind of like playing, and why, um and how I go about it, like, it's so it's been kind of going in different waves, where in the beginning, when I first started playing, I was doing it because I could have a good time, and it made me feel good, and I could feel that, like, the what's the word, just that gratification. uh,
Absolutely. It was almost like I don't know about you, but for me, it was like almost like a self confidence booster. It was like,
Absolutely.
I am worthy.
Yeah,
People are listening to me. And
exactly.
I have a message or a voice that I couldn't find before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it was. And as I was, doing it more and more as a business, that, like, approach of it changed, right? So it was beginning to be like good times, yes, but also I'm paying my bills, so business first type of thing. And so when I started playing with Carnival and started doing the manager stuff, like, you're probably performing for 3 to 4 hours a night, at some like busy nights. 3 hours on a regular night, right? And so your approach of doing it completely changes. Like I was, for example, like you do it, you do it 3 to 4 hours a night, 6 days a week for 6 months. You start worrying about things like your posture, your ways to kind of like run the marathon rather than the sprint. And
Exactly. It's more about stamina and
exactly,
less about. Well, I
yeah,
mean, stamina is really a big piece of it because
yeah,
if you can't do those 3 shows in a day or 2 shows in a day every single
and
day,
jog
then
somewhere else in between with your gear to set up. Yeah, that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah,
So, yeah, exactly. And not only that, but like it was I have to say, like, it's a really cushy job for me because, like, yes, it's a lot of work, but like, it's one of the few musician jobs out there where, for me, I was paid very well for what I did. And no matter how much playing I did, some weeks I did barely played. No matter what, I had my salary at the end of the week, and it was
right,
comfortable, very comfortable, right?
yeah,
And so now that that's all gone, I'm back to this, like the kind of that initial feeling where like I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing this because I love it and it's part of me. So those are the other ways that 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 has kind of like emerged for me. And and talking into like some other people, like I can tell the ones who, for example, like some of the friends who I still keep in touch with, right? Like the ones who I obviously like connected with and who I work with regularly are kind of in the same line as I am. We're like, no, we still like we're playing every day, like one way or another. We're practicing. We're like at our instrument. We're at the very least caressing it to make sure it knows it's loved on a daily. Where there's others I'll talk to who's like, yeah, man, I haven't picked up my bass in like 3 months. I'm like, okay, well, that's good for you. It just doesn't, yeah, that doesn't feel right, type of thing.
yeah.
So
There's
yeah, it's kind of
something different.
realigned.
So there's a relationship with your instrument, and there's a relationship with
A musical union.
the musical union between people that you play with. So there's definitely some sort of synergistic nonverbal communication that's
Yeah.
happening when you're there with somebody and you're able to pick that up when you're playing with other people.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
people would say that you, when when they spoke about you and your ability to play live, they would say that you had a very big skill in terms of being able to pick up on that
Yeah.
in time, type of
It, yeah,
flow.
and actually, that was kind of the reason why I think I was promoted. I was definitely underqualified. I still felt like an imposter for a very long time because, like, they went through a streak of hiring a particular type of person. A particular type of person also, my music director, my first one, who I told you about, fell into, right? And they all had the same problems with them, right? Like, just so they were kind of like, instead of the like by the book, I was like, I'm generally somebody who, I'm an ENFP, so I can feel people's vibes and I can very much relate to people. So I think
What does ENFP stand for? Sorry.
uh, energetic, uh, feeling. What's the N stand for? I should really remember this before. But yeah, it's somebody
It's
who's
like
like
more
outputting,
empathic.
feeling, empathic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
and what does the P? But yeah, just essentially very, very like I'm a sensitive person in my
Right.
own way, and like even from external output for sure, and
Nice.
that has always affected my, or kind of gave me an ability to relate to people a lot better. And realizing that a lot of this job, because like it's not just like you're their manager, you're living with them, you're their confidant, you're their, you are together for 6 months, you're seeing each other every day, you're living, you're eating together, you might start dating each other, like you name it, like there's a lot of proximity, like, so that's where I think they saw that I was a better fit. And every contract has its like major crises. um like you name it. The Yeah, crew life has like it's on extremes, all the time.
Well, I mean,
Um,
you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people's. I mean, it sounds like there's some intricate relationship dynamics going on in there. You're stuck on a boat.
yeah, 70 different
You know,
nationalities.
like I mean, you're doing this quarantine thing, but you're doing this quarantine thing with these very strong characters. And I don't know about you, but musicians
Musicians.
are strong characters. You know what I
And
mean?
every one of them, not just musician, like everyone in the entertainment
Right,
department, everyone,
dancers.
yeah, everyone is
Yeah,
hired because they're a very strong personality.
fair
Like
enough.
everybody there is an extreme of one of their demographic. So a
Yeah.
lot of characters, yeah, for sure.
So back to the music piece, but also do you think there's an interconnection between your capacity to pick up musically in terms of what's going on with when you're using this universal language on the kit and with instruments and translating that language into interpersonal skills that were beneficial to this position of managing people on a cruise ship, and is there any value to learning, or like are those skills translatable, so being able to pick up what people are doing musically non-verbally, and then picking up the non-verbals or the dynamics between
100%.
interpersonal relationships?
Yeah, I honestly, I think they're one and the same, like we're all, and, you know, I'm also stating this as somebody who freshly inductee in the science community now, but I mean, I will be a scientist one day. But we're all constantly vibrating at a frequent, like there's a frequency to everybody. Like you stand empty in a room with somebody, like everything around you is vibrating at a frequency, and even when it comes to the way that someone makes you feel when they frown or something like that, that's like that's a visual cue. But the fact that they are feeling differently means there's like some sort of change that can be measured. Like if you think about just simply from the brain, like you can pick up those frequencies. So that I do, it's not that it can be picked up. It's like you can train yourself, I feel, to pick up on those frequencies, because we're all not only vibrating at all these, we're all vibrating, but we're also receiving. And it's also just knowing how to interpret it, I guess. And I kind of like really delved into this lately. And you should definitely read this book. It's called Morphic Resonance, by Rupert Sheldrake, and it talks about this, and it talks about, mainly focuses on the memory that the memory that life has. Like, they're all these frequencies that are kind of like, they're cyclical, and even in time, where they do these studies, for example, that like one of it is within the shapes of certain plants that are completely disconnected, um, both both geographically and enclosed in something else, but these plants can still grow the same way, and they can trace like the frequency that allows them to grow the same way. And they
Wow.
do that same experiment by teaching, for example, a group of mice a trick on one end of the world, and the group of mice on the other end of the world can now do that trick faster than the first one, and doing that vice versa.
Okay.
And that
What?
touches bases with like telepathic dogs, like because like there's certain dogs that are very like dogs, or were used a lot in some of these experiments because they're very sensitive on a whole other thing, and doing things where like they thought these dogs were telepathic, and they did these experiments where they would have these dogs in like enclosed in these houses, and like completely like audio proof and everything, and they would do these things where people would come at random times at the door, or people would kind of like do a psych as if they're going to open the door, and it was like 80% of the time the dog would show up 30 seconds before the person showed up and opened the door,
Wow.
and would not react when a person would just like psych and walk away, type of thing.
Right.
That, yeah, just a very, very things that make you think. So yeah, I do believe that there is a frequency that we're all kind of vibrating under, and it's just like kind of training and allowing yourself to be receptive to those things. It's all about being receptive, and maybe that's why some people can be hypnotized much easier, right? They're just kind of ready to receive that signal or whatever, right?
Wow. So we've talked for a long time.
I have a song for you after too.
Yeah, good. Do you think so? How do we harness that receptiveness that you're talking about? Is there anything that people can do? And you got to remember this audience. This is an audience of people who are, first time, attendees in terms of interacting with rhythm, interacting with music, interacting with playing with other people. How, but I truly, for me, I truly believe that what I do in terms of the community drum circle is like it's an evolutionary driver. It helps people to evolve from that place of, you know, segregation and just isolation and just kind of living your own siloed life into opening yourselves up to being more receptive to those frequencies, as you might say, or the energies, or being more empathic, being able to pick up on other people's cues, whether that be musical cues, and translating those cues into a conversation or an interpersonal cue. I truly, truly, truly believe, right down to my core, that what we are doing when we do this integrated community drum circle methodology is that we help people evolve that piece that is dormant, but that is predominant in the musicians community. This is a skill. This is a skill, and you've honed it. Your story about being able to move into this non-theoretical, however very strongly musically involved, being able to pick up on the music and translating those skills into managing people and supporting people with their every needs is a perfect way of describing that evolution of how music can really open us up to being more receptive to people's energies, but also, um, um, you know, um, just just having that conversation in a different way, on a different level. Does that make any sense to you?
I'm with you 100%. I couldn't have said it better. And like I think you said it. You just have to be receptive because one of the most important things that I've been told, even from beginning of music, beginning even like going into my professional career, and even still now, like people will tell me, like you will say, or and I will tell people, you like it's all about listening, and
Absolutely.
that was one of those things that allowed me to do it. That I even when it came to people, because I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, tell me how should I be doing this for you? And even with music, like back in the day, Gent and Ale and I would have listening parties where we would just put on a record and just lay there and listen to it front to back and just like just let it simmer, right? Just like listen. And I think I didn't even know it at the time, but it was very beneficial because I was kind of like internalizing these like like all this instinct comes from, like, for example, recognizing, like, I can't tell you a chord progression what it's called, but if I hear one, I'd be like, oh, it's gonna go here next, it's gonna go there next, type of thing. And all that just comes from listening. Just like when we were kids, we listened to a bunch of people talk, and now we can talk.
Amazing. And I think that's a really great way to tie it into, for anybody out there who's maybe possibly looking to increase their capacity to their interpersonal capacity to communicate with other people. I think allowing yourself to sit back and study, and the best way to study is to sit back and listen, and just allow yourself to listen first before jumping in. I think our culture today, correct me if you disagree, but I think our culture today is too busy speaking and having an opinion, and I really I feel very strongly about this, but we haven't really actually stopped, learned the art to stop and just sit back and listen and to maybe speak last, or try to speak last, or try to at least to just let you know the majority of people speak first before we actually share our own personal opinion. I don't know about you, but for me, it's oftentimes my own personal opinion or how I say something is going to be astronomically different if I sit back and listen to people first instead of just speaking first.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's yeah, it, that I couldn't agree with you more, because I mean, everybody, the thing is, like, everybody has that pedestal now, right? So it's so much easier to speak over top people, so to speak, than to just listen, right? So it kind of turns into people shouting over top of each other and trying to get louder and louder, and nobody really not just saying things and not really speaking, so to
Right.
speak, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely. And the message never really lands anywhere when everyone's talking at the same time. And that's a beautiful music metaphor. I freaking love music. I love music. Less is more. Don't speak at the same time. Listen. Just accentuate what other people are saying. Share the stage.
Yeah.
All of those things. These are universal skills that are essential to the evolution of the human spirit,
Yeah,
right? And
it's
and
essentially just a polite conversation.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you're ready to play another tune for us.
Oh yeah, I am. And then I started getting indecisive again. But I'm gonna play my first selection, just to like not be indecisive. And you might even get this one muted, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. Um,
Absolutely, go for it.
okay.
If it's muted, it's because we knew it was. We know it's so tasty. It was so tasty.
All I wanna do when I wake up in the morning is see you rise. Rosanna, Rosanna, never thought that a girl like you could ever care for me. Rosanna, all I wanna do in the middle of the evening is hold you tight. Rosanna, Rosanna, I didn't know you were looking for more than I could ever be. 20 years since you went away, Rosanna, yeah. Now she's gone, and I have to say, meet you all the way, meet you all the way, Rosanna, yeah. Meet you all the way, meet you all the way, Rosanna, I can see your face still shining through the window on the other side. Rosanna, Rosanna, I didn't know that a girl like you could make me feel so sad. Rosanna, all I wanna tell you is now you'll never ever have to compromise. Rosanna, Rosanna, I never thought that losing you could ever hurt so bad. Not 20 years since she went away, Rosanna, yeah. Now she's gone, and I have to say, meet you all the way,
Oh yeah.
I'm following this like Guitar Hero thing, and I'm just like, yeah, I think that's where it's coming up here.
Yay, that was awesome, man. Well done.
Yeah, that was fun. I love
That
that too.
that's a beautiful shuffle. Hey, what's the name of the drummer that it's that
Jeff Percaro.
Jeepers.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Him and his brother were just monsters in the scene. Yeah,
Amazing, man.
yeah. The Percaro brothers.
So Christian, you're no longer on tour ships. You're teaching music now. You're helping people kind of get connected with the rhythmical self. How do people get in touch with you, and how can you help us, evolve in a specific way rhythmically? So tell us about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, what I'm doing is just like, yeah, just sharing that what I love, and I've been just teaching out of my little space here. Like mainly people have been finding me on Facebook, and I just got I put up a website, congapercussion.com, usually where some of my students have been finding me, and I've been doing everything from like from cajon lesson to conga lessons to drum lessons, and like uh, like the odd in-house stuff where I come in and help them set up
Right.
their microphone and just kind of teach them how to fish, so to speak. So yeah, I've just been like, and it's been great, man, because like it kind of sparks a lot of that like sense of discovery that I remember having, and I was like, oh, I remember when I was learning this, it was so exciting. Okay, I'm gonna go practice it again, and like type of thing. So
I love
it's
it.
been very rewarding that way.
So if people wanted to get a little bit more familiar with drumming, you can do this digitally. They don't need to be because you're in BC right now. You're
I am,
living in
yeah.
Kelowna.
Yeah, I
Um,
am, and I've been lucky enough to be able to like get it from all angles.
Woo!
And
Getting it from all angles, buddy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just I have been doing my best to achieve whatever goal that people have musically, and it's been working out very well. And even I think a lot of times you can come into this without a goal or just for fun, and we just kind of like go through that journey together. So I've been you know like I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of people who have been kind of like resparking my love affair with my musical union.
Well, and that's awesome. So I'll make sure to include the information so how for people to get in touch with you if they want to learn a little bit more or to want to try and you'll do
Absolutely.
hand drums like conga drums on the cajon, which is
On
that
the
box
cajon, yeah.
that people are on.
Yeah.
So pretty much any kind of percussive instrument, and
Yeah.
then people probably heard this and they're wondering what the hell's going on. But you're saying that you've got this scientist thing going on. You're doing a lot of math these days, and
Yeah.
just maybe leave us with a final thought as to what you're doing, what you're studying, and where you hope to go, or maybe you don't even know where you're going. You're
Well, I
just
mean, this ties back into what we are talking about before you asked me if I'm like make a huge plan about things. It's another one of those things that my heart told me like, yeah, this is what you want. This is what you should do. So I'm studying electronic engineering, and I'm kind of like a topic of a butt of a couple jokes at school sometimes because so um, there's usually like recruiters trying to come in and get engineers, and somehow I get like clumped in with them or whatever, and everyone they're trying to be like, yeah, when you're done you can have this career, you can have that career, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's cool. I don't want that. Like, well, why are you here? Like, why are you here if you don't want a career in electronic engineering? It's like, well, it's a funny story. I have this bus that I'm fixing so I can live out of and like travel around and play music. So I just want to get the electronic engineering thing under my belt so I can fix it. And they always think I'm joking, but I'm like, what's so funny? You asked me a question, I
I've
answered it.
seen the bus, man. This is a famous bus as well, isn't it?
It's Tammy Wynette's old tour bus,
There
yes.
you go. So
So
you
that's what I'm doing.
own Tammy Wynette's old tool bus, and you're gonna fix it up with your electronical engineer
It's
degree.
gonna be a smart bus off the hook.
Off the hook. I can't wait to see
Yes.
it.
So I haven't like planned as for like same with this MI thing. I haven't planned as far as like. So what happens if it doesn't work? I'll tell you when it doesn't work, right? Then I'll figure it out then. But yeah, I just like I don't know. I just try and follow my heart the best I could. I thought you were gonna ask about that weird sound that happened in between the
The
song.
boom. What was that?
It's I have an electric kick on the side.
Oh. Actually, as you're doing that, you keep playing that. And I just want to highlight what you just said because I think what Christian just said is that he's just following his heart. And I think it's a really encouraging message for all of you guys who are listening to follow your heart. Give us a little follow your heart beat to exit out.
Oh, okay. Well, I can give like a little follow your heart funk. How about that?
Oh, absolutely.
Follow your heart funk.
Oh yeah.
I guess like show walk away music.